Hey y'all, I'm terrible with these videos. I started a series of videos when we first started this crazy journey back to the Midwest, and I accidentally deleted it. So I don't have them anymore. And so I have to start all over. So I will start with the obvious fact that most of you already know, is that Brett accepted a new job position here in Indiana. We were in Massachusetts, and when I first made those videos, this all made way more sense, but his friend works at the company that he is going to be working for soon, and told him about this job position that he thought Brett would be good at. And so his original thought and my original thought was, back to Indiana? Probably not. But things just sort of fell into place. He asked him a few more times, and so he's like, might as well try it. We prayed about it, we talked about it. We're like, well, it's worth just at least applying and seeing what the job is about and seeing if it could be something. And if not, then it was a little extra practice. He had to update his resume and things and get a little more interview experience. So it was a win-win either way. So as things rolled out, again, we were just like, Indiana, it'd have to be a really big thing to move 1,000 miles again. We were very comfortable where we were. We loved our house. We loved our community. We loved our church. We loved the people there. We loved the experience. So again, it would have to be worth moving again. So he did the interview, seemed promising, and then they called him back and were like, hey, we would love for you to be with us at our company. And so they gave him, I think, a few days to accept or decline the offer. So luckily we had already been praying about it, prayed for signs, prayed for peace about it, just prayed that for guidance for what the best thing to do would be. Obviously not just for Brett, but for our whole family. It may seem obvious to some, like an obvious choice, because it's closer to family. Cost of living is less here. His commute would be far less than what he was doing there, and just really a good position overall. So he did accept the position, and then we started worrying about houses and where in the world we would live. His commute in Massachusetts was about 2+ hours every day, both ways, but very stressful. It left me pretty much on my own all day long. He would leave before the kids would eat breakfast and get home after we've all eaten dinner and I was getting them to bed. So he would come home, scarf dinner down, and help with bedtime. So he'd probably see the kids about 30 minutes to an hour every day. And this was really stressful for him. He desired to be home more. He desired to be with the kids more, to be more helpful, to be home for meals. So he knew that moving here, we would have more time together as a family, and that's a win in our book. And with less, with cost of living being less, we would be able to, be more helpful to others. Because there's a mosquito. His entire paychecks wouldn't just go to mortgage. That's not entirely true. We're fortunate, and this job that he had in Massachusetts for the last 3 years has been really good to us. But knowing that it is a little bit less to live here gives us a little more opportunity. So I posted this all over social media because I just thought, honestly, I thought about it and I thought it was hilarious. But the thought that stressed us out a lot was not even moving our stuff. We had packers and movers that packed and moved our belongings. His company provided that, so of course we took advantage. But the thought of traveling 1,000 miles away with 3 kids, 6 chickens, a dog, and a cat, and plants. I could not forget my plants. Was a bit alarming. We thought of all kinds of things, renting an RV and shipping our car over and traveling that way. But of course, there was a pandemic going on, so that complicated things as well. So again, we thought of all sorts of things. We ended up flying our oldest home with the grandparents because they were there for a wedding anyways. So they were staying with us at the time. So she was apart from us for about 24 hours. Less than 24 hours because we drove straight through. But so we flew her. We just bought a brand new car because our last car stopped starting. We only have one vehicle, so it has to be reliable. It literally just stopped starting up. And after being in the shop like every other month at least, we decided that we needed something more reliable to travel halfway across the country again. So we purchased a brand new car, 2020 Ford Explorer. I mention this because it fit all of our things and animals. When making my videos, I like to play this game called How Many Times Can I Be Interrupted? And I cut the last video short because I'm out in the back enjoying some peace for the first time all day. And Farah comes out and finds me and says, "What are you doing out here?" She should have been in bed. So anyways, I mentioned our car and how it fit all of our things, and I'm going to put a picture in this video when I put it all together. But it fit Brett, myself, the dog sat in my lap for 17 hours, 16 hours, whatever it was. Vazen in his car seat, Acadia in her car seat. The cat was in a cat carrier in the middle of the two of them. And I had to drape a blanket over because the cat was trying to scratch our new seats. Not cool. But I also, and then in the very back, the entire back row of seats were folded down. In this car, you can fold all the seats down. It's amazing. You can fit so many things in there. But since we had children, we could only fold down the very back seats. And I put the chickens, I call it a chicken pack and play. I will show you a picture of that too. It worked amazingly. The bottom is like canvas almost, and it comes up on the side. So I put a puppy pad in it, and some bedding, and some food and water. And they all just kind of snuggled up the whole time. They were amazing. And then beside them were my 6 favorite plants. I cut my plant collection down from like 30 something and gave most of them away. Broke my heart, but they went to good homes. And then cut it down to like 6 plants. So, and then Brett put like a little cord around them to keep them from sliding around. And then we had 1 bag full of snacks, 1 bag full of activities for the kids, like little toy things that I purchased for them to use on the trip. I like to pull one out every like few hours, so that it's like something new for them. And then we also had the DVD player dual on the backs of the seats. It's one we bought off of Amazon. And I brought, I think, 3 movies. For a 17-hour ride, I should have brought maybe a few more to switch it up a bit, but the kids didn't care. They watched them repeatedly and were fine with it. And then on the very top of the car, we had a cargo soft carrier where we kept like our clothes that we would need. I packed a week's worth of clothes for each of our family members because I figured, well, you know, during the month of waiting before getting a new home, we would just take our clothes and wash them. And then extra diapers and wipes inside the car. And that's about all we had in the car. But let me just tell you, we were so stressed out thinking about this car trip and how nightmarish it would be. And it went surprisingly well. The kids were awesome. We only had 1 mishap where my 4.5-year-old had an accident. and peed all over his clothes, the car seat, everything. I knew that would happen. I should have been proactive about it. But we moved a day earlier than we thought we would, and it threw everything off, and I was so confused. So we also had all of our clothes in the luggage carrier on the top of the car, nice and packed in there where we couldn't get to it easily. So the whole second half of the ride, my 4.5-year-old, I know this sounds bad, wore a diaper, a pair of underwear over it, and that was it. I didn't have any of his extra clothes. They were all on the top, and a towel, and that's what he rode home in. I also put a puppy pad under him, and I'm not ashamed. It worked like a charm on the way back. I should have done it in the first place. Also, the cat carrier had a puppy pad in it, and I bought those aluminum like casserole trays that you can just throw away. You like make big pasta or something in it, then you throw it away. I used that as a litter box in the carrier and put it in the carrier with her with a tiny bit of litter. She did not use it a single time. I guess when cats are traveling, they tend not to use the litter box much, so it ended up working out okay, but I did feel really bad for her. But I had that option in there just in case she decided to. And then I had a puppy pad under Vazen, my 4.5-year-old, and then I had a puppy pad in the chicken playpen for obvious reasons. The dog did just fine because she was on my lap the whole time. She's like 30 pounds, so that was fun. The cat was the worst traveler. She's not really ever been in the car besides going to the vet when she had her first vaccines and was fixed. So she has never been in the car since then. So she had a rough time and definitely had some meowing, and I felt bad. I brought cat treats too and would give her cat treats. She wouldn't drink anything or eat anything. I think toward the last 5 hours I got her to drink some, but she was so stressed out, so she didn't do much. I felt pretty bad about it. I made that story much longer than it needed to be, but overall we were very nervous about the trip here to Indiana on that very long car drive with a lot of animals and children, but it went much better than expected. So let's fast forward and talk about the hours after we arrived in Indiana. We drove in, we arrived around 2:30ish, and we went to sleep probably around 3. We woke up around 6:30 and got ready to leave again. We drove to Indianapolis to meet our realtor to look at 2 houses. So I want to share about the house that we're purchasing. First, it was the night before we left Massachusetts. The movers moved all of our things, packed and moved our things in one day. It was supposed to take 2. They're supposed to pack the first day and move it the second. So they ended up getting it done a day early, which is great, but left us in a bit of a pickle. So we all had to stay. We had family in town staying with us while this was happening. So we had to stay in a hotel the final night, right before the day we moved. So we stayed in the hotel. Brett and I went back the next morning after cleaning all night at the house. We left the next morning and finished getting the rest of the things out of the house and then left from there to Indiana. But the night before at the hotel, he woke me up at 1 a.m. because he had found a house online. He woke me up and was like, Vicky, this is the house. And I'm like, dude, it's 1 a.m. Why are you looking at houses? I don't know why that's a question. We were both up crazy hours at night looking at houses. We really wanted to find something before we got here, which totally doesn't make sense. In our minds, we thought the sooner the better. That way we could get into the house, get settled before he started his new job. So I look at the house that he showed me. It was really awesome. I'm like, yeah, okay, let's look at it. Sent the link to our realtor, realizing that they had an open house set for that Sunday. So we drove out Thursday morning and arrived technically Friday morning. And slept a few hours, left for Indianapolis, saw 2 houses. The first one was really nice too, but it was actually too big. We had no idea what we would do with that space. It sounds ridiculous, but this house was a giant. So, the second house though, we had a very short amount of time to look at it. I can't remember whether it was like 15 minutes or so. Maybe it was more. I can't remember. Anyways, so we get to this house. So cute from the outside. Get in there, kitchen's amazing. Instantly, like, we felt like, oh yeah, we could definitely see ourselves here. So we look around the house. Brett's checking out all the things, like he's a house inspector because we've been through this before. We've been through lots of house issues from our own houses, so we knew the things to look for. All the things checked out. We get to the outside and I don't know that we ever went back in. The outside was just amazing. Our realtor and I just hung out by the koi pond while Brett was exploring everything else. We were just so amazed by this little koi pond with the fish. It captured our attention. Anyway, so we saw this house. We get to the front of the house at the end of it because there were like 30 people scheduled within the first few days before the open house even, to look at this house. I'm so glad our realtor got us in because it would have been gone. We knew it would be gone by the open house, so we knew we had to get in there immediately. And she was so willing to work with us and was totally okay watching our hot mess selves roll on in after like 3 hours of sleep after a half cross-country trip. Anyways, we get out to the car and we're like, we want this house. We need to put in an offer. So within like 10 minutes of leaving, we gave her offer. She went home and wrote it up, and we ran out of data on our phones. We have since then increased our plan, but we ran out of data, so we had to run around and find somewhere with free Wi-Fi to use so we could sign the paper to put an offer on the house. So we found Lowe's parking lot. We went. I did look at the tomatoes outside. Don't worry, I wasn't just freeloading. Signed the papers, and we are just a few days away from closing now. It's been a whirlwind, but amazing, and we're so excited. This house was, I feel like, totally meant for us. The backyard is phenomenal. The whole like acre lot is just amazing. At our old house, we worried while we were leaving, like, how are we gonna find a backyard like this again? Like, it was so nice there, especially in the middle of the city. It was like our little country-ish plot of land, and we wanted something that would be equal or better to that, and I think we definitely found it. It has a creek running through it, a little bridge. Like I said, it's a little over an acre. There are tons of wildflowers and hostas and things, and just so excited. So we're days away, so I'll update you as that happens. Super pumped about it, super nervous. We have like a few more steps left until finalizing, and then yeah, then I'll share with you about that too. So I'm thinking this will be my last video section in the big video, and then I'm just going to post it on YouTube to sort of lead up to the actual house tour, you could say. But here's an update. It's Thursday, so we have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We have technically 3 more days until we close on the house. The 4th day is the day we close. Yesterday we spent some time getting a hold of the title company and things to make sure that the process is ready to go, and we found out that it wasn't. Our bank in Massachusetts doesn't exist here, and in Indiana, to purchase a home you must wire the money electronically to purchase your home, which is all great, except that you have to be at your bank in person to do so for the very first time that you do this. And we obviously have never wired money before. We've always lived in the area that we bought a home, so we already had an established bank, and obviously it was close to where we were going to be living. So we had to last minute drive an hour plus to a bank, start a new account, and pray that everything works in time for us to purchase this home. We're ready to go. Like, everything is gonna work out. It was just another thing that we're just like, oh no, another obstacle basically. Yeah, so our plan for that day is to leave the kids with the in-laws while we go and close on the home. We'll do a final walkthrough of the house, and then we will drive to do the closing. After the closing, we'll start with the night before. We plan on packing all of our things that we've had here into our car, and when we are done closing, we're going to unload all of our car things into the house. I plan on taking my new shampooer and shampooing all carpets and doing a thorough cleaning of the house, even though I know they have to leave it clean anyhow, but just to be cautious, and just because I want it to be thoroughly cleaned before the kids get there anyways. After we unload everything and clean everything down, then we'll head back to get our kids and animals. And that in itself is going to be an adventure. Getting the chickens there, and the dog and cat should be fine, but our backyard is like a hill, and so getting our coop down the hill and how all that will work out, I'm not so sure. So that'll be interesting. Just one more thing to think about. It's fine. Anyways, so this will be my last video. I'm going to put them all together. I'm going to post it, and then I'm going to make everyone wait another few days until I do the house tour. So I'm excited. We're a few days away, and I can't wait to see all this come together.